Hello, everybody. Well, as you can tell, the executive producer has turned up here. So,
Oh, you did get him in then?
Eventually, yes.
All I could hear was you whistling from another room.
Yeah, you could probably also hear the that exciting moment every Sunday where is my whistling kettle going to boil in time so we can actually start the live show. So,
And did it?
It did. Yeah, it's a good old-fashioned kettle you have to put on a gas stove, you know. So
You won't be able to afford to do that next month.
Well, so I tell you what, it's more cost-effective than using an electric kettle. I can tell you that. So, there we go. Well, it is apparently.
Apparently. There you go. There you
go. I fact checked it on YouTube, so you know, clearly is
yeah, must be true.
It's
on YouTube.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Interesting Modelling Company Sunday service, live from two ends of Somerset. Well, I think we've both been working on projects this week, trying to get some modelling mojo back. You've started a couple, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been. The Rafale is still ongoing, but it's on a bit of a hiatus, shall we say, at the moment, because you just hit that brick wall sometimes. You just want, I don't want to do anything exists at the moment. So I've been looking for something else, and a couple of weeks ago I got the Meng EA-18G Growler. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a huge fan of the Super Hornet. I think it's a big fat dumpy thing. But the Growler is what the Super Hornet should look like. It's a big dumpy thing, but it's got lots of lumps and bumps all over it. So I actually really quite like the Growler. So I got the Meng 48 scale one out yesterday and started it, and I've had a frankly fantastic couple of days. It's I mean, Meng really are on top of their game as far as toolings go these days. So I've been on it a couple of days. I'll switch camera views to the so it's one where you can do an awful lot of stuff just as sub-assemblies as you go along. So with this, things like the fairing on the spine there, the twin seat canopy fairing there, the stovepipes, all that's been added to this. The underside of the wings have been added. And I think it's great to show just the kind of fit you're getting with this kit. It's obviously the leading and trailing edge flaps on this kit are separate. So if I just pick up one of the leading edge flaps, you cut off differing pins along the or tabs along the front, depending on whether you want them deployed or retracted. I'm going to have them deployed, and honestly, they just drop in like that. See how good that looks?
Not bad.
Not bad. And it, there you go. So that they just drop in. You've got lots of different. All these things work the same way. You've got the vertical tails here with the rudders that you effectively trap, and they go in like so. And then you'll be able to set the rudders wherever you want on it. And the main thing is how exact the fit is. If you can see that, it's absolutely.
Would you say almost Tamiya-esque?
Well, this is a thing that I try and steer away from saying that, because Tamiya has a certain quality that nobody else can get. This is as precise, but it feels different. It's really, I really can't explain it. It's as precise as Tamiya in most respects, but it just feels a little bit different. You've got things like you've got different panels to add trap in the wings there if you're doing the wings folded or extended. This is one of those extreme rarities for me where I'm going to do the wings folded.
So you're going to do a proper naval aeroplane then?
No, I'm going to do it looking wrong, but the thing is with the Hornet and the Super Hornet, I find that the folding panels are so small that they don't really destroy the lines of the aircraft like folding wings normally do. So I decided I was going to, plus it's got the big electronic warfare pods on the tip rather than just a couple of missiles. So that was, but as you can see, that's a really firm. You'll be able to assemble, paint, and do everything with that, and then just kind of drop them on at the end.
Are the upper wings molded? Those upper wing stubs, are they molded integrally to the fuselage?
What, these wing parts
Yeah.
here? Yes.
Blimey.
Yeah, they're molded integrally to the fuselage. So that this effectively, this whole upper piece here is one piece. All I've shown you is the bits I've added. I have added the lower wing panels, and then we go to the. If you come to the lower fuselage, what they would have you do is add the wheel bays, add the intakes, and then plug the outer panels on, because these here, this entire section here is separate on each side. So I've added those and slightly sanded them through at the moment and blended them in. I'll just give you an idea of the fit. So if you've got the wheel bays here, with those glued in place firmly, I can just lay that wheel bay there, give it a gentle push, and it just clips into place like so. So if we go to the other side and I'll show you again, it just goes in under a little ledge there, and then with a gentle push, you can hear it click into place, can't you? And that's those. They've been painted and given a wash so far, but that's those actually in place. And then the air intakes, they're not supposed to fit really. There's a bit of an interference in here, but if you remove a couple of tabs from the underside, all this intake part is assembled here. So if you just remove a couple of tabs from the underside, that will just go in and locate like so. Again, and you can actually feel it click into place. So they're in place, and also the division line between the grey and the white is done for you.
That's remarkable.
So all you need to do is I'll paint the inside of the intakes light ghost grey, pop those in place, and that's basically it. That's done. So you've got full intake trunking, and the fit is just, now like I say, I've done this completely different from how the instructions show you to do it, but I've obviously it's working. Then you get the nose here with the nose bay in place, which again has had the initial parts of the painting done. So, oh look, that's popped out. So all this here, this is great. I've been looking forward to showing people this because it's been such a fun day or so that I think we need to, give credit where it's due, and Meng are doing some brilliant stuff these days, aren't they?
Come a long way in 10 years.
They certainly have. They certainly have. So there's that in place. So one of the things that happens is you'll have to completely build and paint the interior, but that'll drop in there. You've got a couple of big lugs here, which locate here. So if you line that up, and it's one of those things where you fiddle around until you feel it lock into place.
Yeah.
And that locks into place like so. So you can see that's going to need a little bit of clamping to glue there, but there's the join along there. That's locked into place there. There's a join along here, look. which with just a tiny bit of glue is going to look like a panel line. And then with that in place, you can theoretically, now this is where things get, you're definitely looking for a
Tamiya style snap fit.
Yeah. So you're sort of playing around with it a lot. And remarkably enough, it's just, I spent about 10 minutes trying to get that to go earlier, and that's now in place. So that is
And
all.
I'm just going to say, and also that on the nose there, it looks like they've broken it so that it follows a natural panel break.
It's not, this bit here isn't a natural panel.
All right, okay.
This isn't a natural panel break, but it is
Right.
a natural break point for the model, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be
You,
very,
yeah.
the detail is very nicely represented. So you're not going to lose it sanding.
Right.
But that, as you can see, all that has been assembled now and is together with no glue. You know, you can hold the interior and give the model a shake and nothing comes loose. All that interior and the intakes and stuff is in place. It's really rather remarkable, isn't it?
That is impressive.
And like I say, and stuff like the leading edge flaps just push into place. So you know, a lot of this is I spent yesterday gluing a lot of stuff together just to give it plenty of time to dry.
Yeah.
So that I could get on with painting and stuff, and then bring it all together. So stores wise, because it's a growler, they've included the low band pod and a couple of the high band pods for the underwings. Obviously the wingtip pylons, absolutely gorgeous harm missiles are included, which I've been building up over the last day. They include the drop tanks, the 600-gallon drop tanks, but I'm doing something different. I'm using the phase hanger printed resin, 3D printed resin. So there's a kit drop tank. There's a phase hanger one, which has got a lot more detail around the nose and tail and on the lugs and things. Just to show you, that's how it comes. So you've got a tail, a nose, and you've got a key piece to orientate the nose correctly. Now, if people have got a few minutes, I'll show you how easy it is to prepare this, to assemble it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
So all you're doing is it comes molded. Let's bring in a little bit. So it comes molded on these little stubs. Yeah, you can see those stubs there. You've got a little brace here to preserve some of the detail. That literally will pull away like so. So all I'm going to do is use a saw, and that's all it takes. This one's a little bit brittle actually, but that's all we're doing, is just sawing through these stubs. When you've done that, that will just snap out of the way like so. Just going to change my glasses. So once that's out of the way, once those stubs have been sanded off, you just need to take a sanding block. Anything. This is an Infini sander, a big one, 220 grit. And all you're doing is sanding and keep turning the tank as you do it. You check here you'll be able to tell when you've got a.
I'm just going to say, Drew, I think that also demonstrates a difference between 3D printed and cast resin is the fact that that's hollow.
Yeah, that's completely hollow. Look. So that's one part done. So all I'm going to do is, bear in mind that felt a little bit brittle then. No, we can use the same thing. So just repeat this for this one.
So you're sawing just short of the actual kind of casting stuff, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sawing up to the tank itself. Just want a bit to clean off.
I think it's also perhaps important to say that if you're doing stuff like this, you do need the right tool for the job. And so you need
this is a Tamiya. This is the Tamiya saw. It's important to remember with the Tamiya saw that it cuts on the pull, not the push, which keeps it pretty straight. But you don't need a super fine saw for this. This isn't a super fine saw by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a quick cutting saw, shall we say. So there you go, and then that'll just snap away again like so. Then you can go around, make sure any of the so the thing with this resin is it will sand with a coarse sanding block very, very quickly. So there was maybe a millimetre or millimetre and a half of block left there. And just by going around like so, and just keep working it until you've got a flat surface. Like I say, keep turning the part. And this is a piece of TL, just with a piece of wet and dry stuck to it with double-sided tape for the final bit, just to make sure it's perfectly flat.
And you can buy TL in any hardware shop.
Yeah, you can get it from eBay.
Right.
So you can see that's now pretty much perfectly flat. And the last thing for this particular set, apart from there's a very small part that goes in the tail here, the pivot, the tank pivot, which I won't show you because it's absolutely tiny, but it is included. So they've included face hanger have included this keying part because the front and the rear are oriented. So this one you don't have to be careful with because it's just a keying part that will go inside. I know it sounds like this is coming over as a bit of an infomercial, but we wouldn't recommend stuff we don't like or use. So
I don't have any problems with I don't have any problems with mentioning Mike's stuff at all, because as we know, Mike's stuff is top quality, you know.
So as you can see, with this, each half of the tank has got a couple of keyways in it, or a couple of keys. Yeah, different sizes. You can see that. And also, this part here has the same going on. So all you're going to do is line your keyway up like so. Push it in. Line the keyway up on the rear half and push them together. that's your tank built. So just to give a little bit of a, if I take a bit of Vital Bond super glue here, all I'm going to do now, as with normal resin, super glue sticks this resin like you wouldn't believe. So all I'm going to do is locate that, push it home like so. Wipe off the excess. And that, people, that is a phase hanger 600-gallon tank for the Super Hornet made.
Is there a natural panel break where that join is, or are you going to treat that?
No, there isn't a natural panel break there, which is good in many ways because it means all you're doing is sanding that joint away.
Right,
you
fine.
don't have to restore anything. So earlier on today,
here's a literally Blue Peter moment.
This is literally, here's one I prepared earlier. So I made a couple of these earlier on today, and I've primed them. So I've hidden the join and I've primed them with Tamiya fine surface primer just to show you, and that's how they look, just with a coat of primer. So as you can see, very, very smooth, very, very. It's beautiful, isn't it? And adds a. Now, did I cover the pylons on Wednesday? Did I show the pylons that I've been?
I think you showed them, but there's no harm in a refresher course. Let's put it that way.
So one of the things I will be doing on this Super Hornet, apart from the phase hanger drop tanks, is I'll also be using a complete set of phase hanger pylons. And once again, bear with me. So once again, here's some pylons. That's how they look on the as printed.
Can we call it a sprue?
Yeah, I mean, we call them in the business, in the 3D printing business. They're called.
Here we go.
They're called supports. So you need all these supports along here to maintain the shape of the actual stability of the part while it's printing. So that's how they look. And it's available. So there's the centerline one, which also has the BRU 32 actual rack that goes inside the pylon in it, and that will just locate on the centerline like so. Oh, there you go. And as you can see, it adds considerably more detail.
It's almost a shame to actually mount something on that.
It is in a lot of ways, yes. And then I've got these outboard pylons, which are handed, because whilst all of the pylons on a Super Hornet are towed out at the front, the outboard ones are also canted at about 2.5 degrees. So hopefully you can see that has an outward cant as well. Yeah. So that was separated from its paw stub earlier. I'm just trying to see if I've got another one, if I've got a basic one. Well, no. So let's separate one of the main pylons, shall we?
Yes, please. This is so easy for me because I just have to sit back and watch. I don't have to do anything tonight.
So these main pylons, they're all quite fine supports, as you can see. So really, they would just snap away. But if you don't want to risk any brittleness, just use a pair of nippers like so. We're just moving up there, as you can see. And then at the rear there. And then that will just pull away like that. Just snapped away like so.
Incroyable.
So on here, obviously where you've where all these supports, where the majority of the supports have gone in along here, you do have to do a little bit of trimming and sanding, just to make that area flat. Again, use the I'm using this is a 220 grit. And that's that pylon effectively cleaned up. All you're going to be doing is just checking along where all the supports are, because sometimes you'll get a tiny little raised area. Like so.
I do find if you drag your fingernail across a thing like that, you can always, you know, for a lot of things like this, you can always just feel that kind of like.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But basically, that is more or less that pylon done. You'll also notice that there are holes in the pylon, and they actually match up with the Meng kit anyway. So if you wanted to pin it, it would match up, and the pylon just will go in place like so. And there is so much more detail on these pylons compared to the kit ones. They're completely hollow, like you can see there inside, and it also comes with a separate BRU 32 release shackle. I've added a little bit of plastic sheet to each side of this so it will fit into the outboard pylon better, but they just drop in like so when you've cleaned them up. And as I showed earlier, this isn't a Hornet pylon, this is one of the Phantom pylons, but I primed and washed this one earlier this week just to show the kind of detail you're getting on these pylons. And that is no cleaning up whatsoever except for the top and the bottom. So you can see how smoothly they print. Again, it's got holes in it, so it's keyed to the Tsukimura kit, I think. These Phantom pylons come with two styles. You've got one with the release rack already molded in, like so. And you've got another one here, which is completely hollow, as if it's empty. And the release rack comes as a separate part. And the release rack will just drop into place like so.
Steve Moores has a question. He says, is there room in there for a 1mm rare earth magnet?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. If you've got 1mm of room, there's room for a rare earth magnet, isn't there? So yeah, I mean, potentially. But to me, that just, I'm looking at the way that just drops in there. And that means that you could potentially paint your pylon, paint that separately, pin the store to it. Let's have a look. Let's get. You could potentially pin the store to the shackle, and then later on that would just drop in place when you're ready, like so. Yes. So anyway, that is what I've been up to over the last couple of days, playing with various Super Hornet pylons and a Super Hornet kit. And I think, yeah, like I say, I know it can come off sounding a bit like an infomercial, but when the stuff is this good, why wouldn't you recommend it?
Well, why wouldn't you want to share the knowledge base out there that there are, that this is what 3D printed stuff is like these days, and this is how it can actually, enhance and improve a kit.
And it's important to note that all of this stuff is printed on home machines. This isn't excuse me. We're not using like Formlabs commercial, commercial stuff here. This is all stuff that is available at home for people. But the shall we say the genius is in the design.
Well, I was just going to say
I think everything I've shown here is designed by Richard. Richard Van Zandt, I think, has designed the Phantom and the Super Hornet pylons and the tanks. So he is far and away as like John Chung. They are so far in advance of my capabilities at 3D CAD. It's not even funny. Richard there saying it's beautiful stuff. It's well printed, and I commend it to the house. Put it that way. If you're building any of these subjects, and Phase Hanger do stuff for it, you're never going to be disappointed. Put it that way. You're never going to be disappointed. They do pylons and update sets for A10s. They've got an A4 Kahu set coming for the New Zealand, Royal New Zealand Air Force Skyhawk cockpit and various other upgrades and stuff. Mike's a friend. I'm a fan. We're working through some stuff with Mike to get good prints. So I am, disclaimer, I am involved to some degree.
But the thing is, Drew, people can big up a product, but the proof in the pudding is actually doing what you've just done, which is the live demo, which is to go, well, look, here it is, clip, 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 sand, 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 bit of glue, bish, bash, bosh, done.
Yeah.
There's no hiding. There's no hiding when you do that.
That tank. Well, you saw me do that tank.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so that's a, I don't think you can really argue with that kind of quality, can you?
Yeah.
I give that super glue like 20 minutes to dry. In fact, it's probably dry enough now.
How are you liking your Infinity sanders?
I really like them. I
can sense a but coming here.
No, it's not a but. It's
however.
I really like them, and they will be a great addition to the other varieties of sanding implements I use.
Right.
Yeah. It's not going to replace anything. They have their own. They have their own place. And as you can see, if I'm sanding that like so, it kind of matches the profile. So I'm sanding it and watching the screen. So if it looks a bit, and then all you can do is go around there with a drop of Mr. Surfacer, like I did with them. So there we go. So in terms of the workbench, that's what I've been up to. Sorry for taking up half the show, but
no, it's fine. It's like I say, it's busman's holiday for me. So
so what have you been up to?
Well, as I say, it's nice to be able to sit back and relax and hear you talking about precision fit and ease and just things dropping together.
Because you haven't.
No, that's essentially. I've been doing some good old-fashioned roll your sleeves up, figuring out what the heck is going on modelling, shall we say? We will cut across to live from Wembley Stadium. We'll cut across to this. Now, this is the Italeri 24 scale Jeep, and as you can see, there's some clamping action going on here.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. Now, I had hoped that I would be able to paint the engine, then kind of like paint the the chassis and the body shell, and then bring it all together. But I did that thing that doesn't seem to be very fashionable these days. I did a dry fit, and
Lord, whatever next.
I know exactly, and it was indicating to me that we were going to have some interesting times ahead of us. So after kind of like checking things and adjusting and this, that, and the other, I had no choice but to bring everything together at an early stage. Now, bear in mind that this isn't, this is a model that's being built as a display model. So, frankly, if I glue that in place, the engine just becomes a distant memory. I'd like to be able to keep it so that we could show the engine off, because it's a feature of the kit. However, these things tended to be painted pretty much the same color as the body anyway, so we all we've got to do is go in there and a little bit of weathering and some different tones on some of the exhaust systems. It'll look the part. But as you can see, yeah, there was a certain amount of clamping going on here. There was judicious use of super glue at the front end there, because for the life of me, I could not get those body panels to come round and meet the corresponding areas on the actual chassis itself. In clamping the rear section there and the rear bumpers, I actually managed to break one of the rear bumpers off. And if you can see there, it's all a bit wibbly wobbly now. So I managed to get in there and glue that back in place. But yeah, it'll look fine at the end of the day. But I don't like it when you come to you work in a model like this, and you're having to kind of like use brute force to get things to stay in place and things and whatnot. So it'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, this is a reminder of actually how good we have it these days with modern kits.
Yeah, it's looking at that, and I'm kind of very, very happy with the way this Hornet has gone. Shall we say this Growler has gone? There's a joy all of its own in something that just goes, and there's also satisfaction in something that doesn't.
Yes. Well, what you said before the show was, well, I had to factor in the age of the kit. There is that, parts wear, but what doesn't wear is just how vague the instructions are. These, this is not, the vagueness of the instructions is not a byproduct of age or time. This is just, they're just very, very vague. And also this this gives you a really good indication here of, let's just move my cup over a second. This gives you a really good indication here of why we as humans need to evolve an extra pair of hands, because you have to mount the engine onto this part of the chassis. But once you've done that, you've then got to get all these drive shafts in place as well, which you can't do because the engine's in place. So you can put the drive shafts in place first, but then when you go to mount the engine, you can't mount the engine because the drive shafts are in the way. So you are exactly. You are in the end. What I had to do very, very carefully was, as I was fixing these little devils in place, I was very gently having to bend them so that I could then just pop them in place, both of them. One of them was a bit askance, but I managed to kind of like get it back into place again. And the same here. But there was so much of this where you really are kind of like, you're almost into the dark arts here, and especially here with the steering rod. And then you've got part of the actual steering mechanism as well. What Italeri don't tell you is that this part here actually has to go behind this piping here. So when you actually put it in place, you're suddenly thinking, why is everything all out of kilter? So I don't know if you can see here. See if I can get the camera in here for a second. But here we go. Extreme close-up, as I used to say on Wayne's World. So there is that rod there. And as you can see, it's got to go between the engine and this bit of piping. Don't know where this bit of piping goes. I think that links onto the exhaust at some stage. Yeah, let's just say the air was a bit blue here today whilst I was doing all that. Now, you can also see the the Ammo MIG red magma cement does you no favors when it shows you how cack-handed your glue technique is. But well, we'll get there in the end. But yeah, and you can also see at the back end there, you can probably see where that brake is just there, but also just how that bumper is now a bit askance. I'm not going to worry about it, to be honest with you, because when you see it from the normal angle, I've just got to do a little bit of repair on it, but you're not going to see anything. It's sitting a little bit proud of the tailgate, but you know, if you've ever seen real Jeeps, is sometimes the panels on them aren't exactly.
Yeah, I mean they weren't they weren't built to outstanding precision, were they? They were tools.
Yeah. And using the interesting modelling company Stock Phrase 101, everything on the underside here. Well, I'm not going to hide it with mud, but we're not going to be focusing on this. Let's put it that way. In fact, you may have also noticed some of the sharp-eyed viewers out there may have noticed that I've kept the moulded logo in place there because
I didn't notice that and thought it all seemed a bit monogram 1970s.
That's marvelous. I thought, look, if I leave that logo in there, then it means apart from a very basic little bit of I'm going to do that thing of giving it a nice dusty wash and then dry brush it with a bit of dark brown black, just to pop all the detail and get that nice contrast. But apart from that, I wasn't going to treat it as what's the word I'm looking for here? Fastidiously, as perhaps I would the upper surface, for the simple reason that we do have this logo on display down there. So, like I say, at the end of the day, it's not a competition model. It's not being built for an article. This is purely being built as a display model for the kit, warts and all. And so that's exactly what you're getting. How far have I got to go? Well, actually, I can show you on the instruction sheet how much further we have. Everything on that's done. That's all done there. That's all done. Those are in place. Apart from the headlights, which I will rather carefully. This is another thing I hate about Jeeps. Oh no, I can put them in at the front. There we go. I can pop the headlights in the front there. So apart from the headlights and the bonnet, the little bonnet, oops, there we go. Or the hood in American terms, the bonnet latches there. I've done the exhaust. And then I've already got the seats done because we saw me doing the filling on the seat during the week. So from here on in, it's just a few external details, and then I'll paint the canvas bits separately. Pioneer tools. I don't know, at this scale, do I paint them separately or do I put them in place? Actually, I might do what Spencer always advises, and that's just glue them in place, paint them. Then when you come around to doing the weathering, everything is going to be consistent then. So
yeah, and a little light wash around the periphery will make it look as if it's a separate part anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say, my brush technique is a little bit better than when I was a teenager. So I can actually kind of get in there with a paintbrush, and it's not, it'll look fine. It's not like it's going to look molded on. But that's the scheme I'm doing, that one there, because that's quite colourful. So we're on, with a bit of luck and a fair wind, by this time next Sunday, that should be a completed model. So, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want anybody to think, that I'm sat here not enjoying it because I'm having a few struggles. On the contrary, I actually do enjoy having these kind of moments of like, okay, what, how do I solve this? Or you know, or something goes slightly askance, and that's the third time I've used that word tonight. Obviously, I've learned it today. You know, and just things like that. But this to me is part and parcel of the fun of building vintage kit. And you know, I make no apologies for the fact that I do enjoy building vintage Italeri kits.
And I think that's the thing, is that we've both highlighted different approaches to satisfaction this evening. I'm having a fantastic time building something that falls together.
Yeah.
But having said it falls together, as with everything that falls together, it will punish carelessness.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
It doesn't give you any much latitude for being careless with it. You have to sorry, I'm actually modeling while I'm
yeah, kind of enough of this. Yeah, actually, Jim Aldercott makes a point. He says, for me, most Italeri Jeeps tend to go the way your Jeep's going, Jim. Do you know what, Jim? I built the little ambulance Jeep about 18 months ago, and I enjoyed that. I was a belter of a kit. That was a reminder of just how good, you know, Italeri's 35th scale vehicles can be sometimes. This one isn't terrible. This one is just old. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so you just have to go in there with that mindset. It's a bit like, you know, a bit like sitting down and watching the original 1933 King Kong. You've got to go in there with the mindset that it's not going to be Industrial Light and Magic working on the film, you know. So, you know, also
but it have potentially more good memories for me.
Yeah. Powell says, I'd like to get some of Mike's stuff, but with the low value Polish currency right now, because of situation east of the border, of course, yes, and huge shipping costs from the US and the almost unavoidable EU VAT, I can't justify this kind of spending now. Well, do you know what, Powell? Be with us. We'll see what we can do.
I've already messaged him.
and that's all I'm going to say on that. So we'll see what we can do for you, mate. You know, all right.
I mean, the thing is, Pavu has done some stuff for us recently in terms of getting us some review samples and stuff that are en route. So it's one of these look after each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Mike's always offering me stuff, but you know, it's kind of like, it's very kind of you, Mike. It's not that I don't like your stuff. It's just, it's not anything that's currently.
You don't build A10s. You don't build 48 scale A10s.
Exactly. So there you go. Powell can have my stuff. So we'll sort something out for you. Anyway, right. We're also going to mention this now, and this is something we're actually going to throw out to you people out there.
Yes.
Talking point here. Your feedback, because this is all dependent on how you feel about this. Now, two things is we've been talking about wanting to do something for some of the Ukrainian aid charities. You saw that we did the vigil last week, and we've also been bigging up Save the Children and also the Disasters Emergency Committee. Now, the thing with Facebook is, one of the things that, thanks to the success of the IntMod Co, relatively speaking, because of you good people coming on and watching it every week, is that Facebook has said to us, you can put on paid events. So this is the idea we're going to float to you for your feedback to see whether you think this is going to be a good idea or not. What we thought we could do is we'll put on a paid event, and it will be like an afternoon of modeling with me, Drew, and anybody else we can rope in. And essentially, for a nominal sum, and we'll work out what that will be, but it'll literally be a couple of dollars or a couple of quid. You can come in, watch the show. You don't have to stay for all of it. The most important thing is you've made a donation, and then everything from that live show, every single penny, plus additional contributions from myself and Drew, will then be going to the Disasters Emergency Committee. Drew, you also had another idea, didn't you, Drew?
Yeah, I was toying with the idea of an alternative to that would have been a blind auction, where I mean, John and I, it's no secret, John and I have enormous stashes of models. We could get a few choice items from there, And my idea was to have a blind auction with all the proceeds going to one of these aforementioned charities. And we kind of refined that to, we could actually have an auction on here as we're running this, and to you know, to make money for those charities. Now, obviously, we'd need to look at the potential for the limitations on where we could send stuff in terms of auctions. But it was one of those things where, well, why not combine them? We could make it a pay-per-view event, just, you know, a token sum, all of which goes to those charities, and an auction while we're doing it as well, over the course of the event. And it's just all about raising money for those charities.
Yeah. And like I said, the other thing is, I mean, I think it would probably be germane for us to actually pick something which is, you know, you probably pick something from your ICM stash, I'll pick something from my mini art stash. But also we'd also like people to join in for that particular kind of afternoon or day, whatever day we're doing it. Join in as much as share your own builds on the timeline, because we can bring images in onto the thing as well. Doesn't have to be anything from any of the Ukrainian companies. Just build something. You know, pay to watch the show. Like I say, you don't have to watch all of it. And then just, you know, build something. Have us on in the background, and we'll see what we can do. You know, if you think it's a terrible idea, we won't do it. Because the last thing we want to do,
and I think that's the thing, is that we need to have a reasonable level of certainty that people are going to be happy to chuck a couple of quid, you know, our way for the charity, just to run it. You know, you know, we'd like to think it would be well supported, but we need your sort of. I wouldn't say we're asking for your permission, but we're asking you. Would you dig into your pocket to do it?
Yeah, I think the discussion that we had this week, Drew, was we both want to avoid any taint of this is just shameless self-promotion. It honestly isn't. Because we've been talking about this, and we've said, look, we'd like to do something, but what can we do, and what can we do that plays to our strengths? Well, the one thing we can do is we can put on a live show. So, and we've done it with 2 festivals. And like I said, Facebook have offered us the ability to put on paid events. So if you think it's a good idea,
we'll point where we can do something of value with it, for a very worthy cause. You know, and I think John and I haven't discussed this fully yet, but we'll be looking at doing it very, very soon.
Yeah, very, very soon.
It would have to be very, very soon. So we need a yay or nay now, really.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, we have it's all positive. So
I think we're getting the response we would have hoped for, and if we're honest, expected from the membership here. You know, I wouldn't have particularly expected anything different.
No.
But it's still something that needs discussing. You know, so I think with that, I think we need to set aside an evening in the next week or so, don't we?
Either an evening or a Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon into evening. Well, there you go. There's next Saturday afternoon into evening sorted, isn't
it? Possibly. I need to check my diary.
It needs to be done really, like.
How about next Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, because that way we can segue it into the live show as well, and then do a wrap up at the end of it. Right. Yeah. We'll discuss this afterwards, but we'll work out the logistics of it, people. But yeah, if you're all happy for us to do that, and we'll carry on having this conversation, because we will put up a post on our Facebook page as well. But if you're happy to carry on the conversation, we will plan for it, and then we'll see where we'll see where we go. And this is all obviously dependent on Facebook delivering their side of the bargain as well.
delivering what they promised.
Delivering what they keep, because every time we set up to do the events for this show, for about the last 6 months, they kept saying, "Would you like to do a paid event?" It's like, no, we're doing this for free for people. But no, I think on this occasion
and now we're thinking, yeah, we might actually like to do a paid event.
Yeah, we would like to do a paid event. Thank you, Facebook.
Idea.
So yeah, so folks, if you're happy for, if you think it's we'll do it. We're going to do it. So we'll come up with some a bit of a poster for it, and yeah. So hopefully this time next week, we'll be telling you how much you raised, and like I say, every single penny of that plus some extra will be going. I think we'll do the Disasters Emergency Committee, because that's a coalition of several charities. So we'll go for that if you're happy, Drew.
Yeah.
It
needs to be picked. We need to pick something where we know it's going to a good, to somewhere that is going to find its way to where it needs to be. Because regardless of what happens in the next week or two, there is a lot that is going to be ongoing from this that needs to be sorted.
Yeah. In fact, I'm just calling up their website at the moment, because we've got the it's on our splash page anyway. But if I just bear with me a second, share screen, Chrome tab, there we go. So there we go. It's this is the Disasters Emergency Committee in the UK, and as I say, it's a coalition of several charities, including people like the Red Cross and everything. So so yeah, we're going to do it. Leave it with us, and we'll let you know
in the week.
Exactly. So
so all I'd say, people, is keep next Saturday, keep next Sunday relatively free.
Yeah.
So
okey-dokey.
Excellent. Well, right. Thanks very much for the generally positive.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
for
absolutely.
The generally positive response.
Yeah.
That's really good. And just like I say, I honestly wouldn't have expected any different, and that just kind of reinforces my
we set a high expectation for our audience, haven't we? We tend to think of them as being good eggs.
Yes.
So,
and stuff like this proves they're good eggs. So
absolutely good eggs, free range ones as well. So, okie dokie, right?
Jim Alter got there. Could you autograph the models you auction off? Well, we could, but we don't want to devalue them. That's
we don't want to devalue them. I was in. Funny thing was, I was all right. We'll do it now. Any other business?
Not from me.
Okay.
Not from me. I'm actually look. I'm still building models.
I know. So we're going to have to knock this modelling on a modelling show thing on the head. I was in Devon yesterday, and I went into the RNLI shop there, and and I kind of went. Oh, look, Airfix lifeboat, and the lady in the shop was talking to me about it, and I said, yeah, that's my artwork there. I did that. I drew that. I did.
I drawed that. Then I did.
And she said, "Oh, would you like to sign the box?" I said, "No, you want to sell that kit." So
yeah, let's not devalue it.
I don't want to devalue it. But yeah, it was very. I always think that I think the RNLI should do a thing like the National Trust. With the National Trust, you have like a pass book. So when you go to different National Trust properties, you get it stamped, so you can know where you've been. I think you should do that with the RNLI, the RNLI shops. You should have a little thing so you can say, "I've been to the RNLI shop in Exmouth." Because what I do tend to do is I collect the little badges, because they have the names of the stations on them.
Right.
So I've got 3 now: Portishead, Weston-super-Mare, and Exmouth. But awesome. But yeah, that was a strange little thing. For those of you asking, yes, I did have cake. It was like a banoffee banana bread thing from Bumble. It was from Bumble and Sea on the. We'll have a trip there at some stage, because Exmouth's lovely. It's a lovely little place. And it took me. I know people are tuning in there saying, "Why is he talking about travelling to Devon?" When we got on the motorway at Clevedon, and bearing in mind this is in my new Mini, right, as compared to the old one. When we got on the motorway at Clevedon, we actually went past the border for Devon at just under 44 minutes. right?
Not too bad, then.
Sorry?
Not too bad.
We actually came off the motorway. I mean, bearing in mind, I'm still a slow driver. We came off the motorway literally just under the hour mark at Exeter, and then we're in Exmouth by probably about another 10, 12 minutes after that. So it's actually quicker for me to drive from here down to Exmouth than it is for me to drive to Frome, which is like half the distance. But anyway.
Yeah, that Frome road isn't a great one, though, is it?
It's a nice journey, though. And in fact, I was just reading
it
up
wasn't
on
a nice journey. I said it wasn't a great road.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's good. I quite like it. And I've got to go to Frome at some stage because they've got in some of those new SMS water-based paints from Australia. But I'm going to wait until Luke lets me know that he's got that. I can't think what the name of the company is now, but that's that little German tractor kit that they're doing. A little 35th scale German military tractor. As soon as he gets that kit in, then that's it. I will have a trip to Frome.
I'm off to Frome on Friday. Off to the Cheese and Grain on Friday.
Ooh, lucky you.
Yes.
Who are you going to see?
Gaz Brookfield.
Right. Okay. Country and Western, is it?
He's the guy.
He sounds it, doesn't he?
He's the guy who did the song about Breendang.
Oh.
About Breendang Fort.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Got a quick question here from Simon Lewis. He says, "Will the videos be left on YouTube as long as we pay?"
I think this is for discussion, but as far as I'm concerned, the pay-per-view is while it's going, and it will immediately go.
Yeah. The other thing is, Simon, is that the pay-per-view is a Facebook only feature. That's one of the things we've got to be quite clear on, is that this is a Facebook only feature. So yeah, sorry about that. And he also says 1602. That's the name of the company. Yeah. Yeah, they do that little German tractor thing. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I do like a good tractor.
But yeah, I think it's the idea is it's not going to be. We're not trying to make money from this for us. So there's nothing. This is literally an excuse to make money for the charity and hopefully get people to indulge us with that. So
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, on that note, then that's good. Good to end on a positive note. So thank you everybody for for endorsing that idea. We will push ahead with it. We will be back on. Well, I'll be back on Wednesday. Will you be back on Wednesday?
No, I'm on late, aren't I?
Okay, fair enough. Right. So. Okay. Well, I might be me just soloing on Wednesday then.
You might have to. Yes,
or might actually have the Wednesday off so that we can prep for the prep for whatever we're going to call this thing on Sunday. So we'll come up with a name. So anyway, as always, thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight, and especially with this idea. Thank you for your support. We both really appreciate that.
Yeah,
so
very much. Thank you. It means a lot that we can. It means a lot that we can do something like this, and not just asking people for money, but asking people to engage in something that hopefully they'll get a bit of pleasure from as well. Anybody can stand on a street corner with a bin and ask for money. Let's try and make it work for us and the charity.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that note, we'll be back at some stage in the next week. So until then, as always, thank you for watching.
Take care all, and we'll see you.
See you soon.
See you.